Will it work? I think it's working. Hi, everyone. It's Reed Mahelko from readaboutsex.com, and I'm sitting next to Allison Moon of girlsex101.com, and Allison has a new book, and I have to do my husbandly duties and promote it because I'm really proud of you.
Oh, thanks.
And just so people know, we've got two cameras side by side.
Which one am I supposed to look at?
Well, there's the camera there,
okay,
and then there's the camera here.
Camera one, camera two.
Camera two.
Camera one, camera two.
So,
okay.
Camera one, camera two. So, can people hear us? Leave in the comments if you can hear us, because I'm trying something fancy, and knowing me, no one would be able to hear us, and then it would just be a bunch of.
Well, you're wearing
fun.
an earpiece.
I am, because this is the microphone for that camera.
Oh, okay, got it.
For this camera. So people are joining. So do you want to can you share? Yeah, give me Girl Sex 101. So this is Allison's other book, Girl Sex 101, available at girlsex101.com. And you published this book when?
2015.
2015.
Yeah.
And then this one literally just came out yesterday. And this one's about what?
Casual sex.
Casual sex. And this one's about what?
Sex between women.
Okay, this is good. This is good.
I feel like I'm being quizzed.
So for folks who are meeting you for the first time,
I see a hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess everyone can hear us.
Okay.
Who are you, and what do you do other than write books?
So I'm Allison Moon. I am your partner of 14 years.
Yes.
I'm a sex educator, and my primary form of expressing my sex education is through book writing. Teach workshops as well, mostly book workshops sometimes with you on polyamory, and I teach workshops on sex technique, like strap-on sex. My signature workshop is how to drive a vulva, etc., etc.
Okay. Yeah. And you self-published this book. And then how many other books?
So Getting In It is my fifth book.
Okay.
So I've got, this one came out in 2015. I kickstarted it. It was a very successful Kickstarter. And then I have 2 novels and a collection of true stories from my sex life called Bad Dyke. If you are a fan of reads, you can read Bad Dyke, and he makes many guest appearances. And
then there are two novels about lesbian werewolves.
There are 2 novels about lesbian werewolves.
So can you still go to lesbianwerewolves.com?
I don't even know. Don't do that.
Go to Girl Sex 101 because you can order everything.
Yeah.
All right. So won lots of awards. It's been translated into how many languages?
Spanish, French, and Russian.
And Russian. There you go. All right. So now let's get to this book. Okay. This is your first. This is not self-published.
No, this is traditionally published. This
traditionally published.
Penguin Random House published this one.
Okay, thank you, Penguin and Random House.
10 Speed Press, which is an imprint of Penguin Random
Okay,
House.
thank you, 10 Speed Press. I didn't tag them correctly in the Instagram, then I just did Penguin.
That's okay. I mean, they're a subsidiary.
Okay, so tell us about this book. Why the question on prospective readers' minds is, why do I want a book about casual sex during a pandemic?
Well, yes. Well, I wrote this book before a pandemic. The nature of traditional publishing is such that we write books about a year or 2 in advance of when they come out. But at the same time, I feel like what I've been hearing from a lot of people who've been reading it is this is actually the perfect time to be reading this book, because we are all antsy in preparing ourselves to get back into the world of dating and sex. I certainly want to get back into that world, just like a lot of people do. But because of the pandemic, a lot of us have been taking the responsible choices of staying home and of not interacting in the ways that we want to with people. So what we have to do is kind of spend this time to maybe improve our skill sets and improve maybe our understanding of ourselves and what we're looking for. And this book, it does that. This book teaches you how to be introspective, explore what kind of sex you're looking for and why, and then improve your communication skills so that you can actually advocate for yourself both before you get to the bedroom, in the bedroom, and find the relationships and the sexual relationships that you want.
So don't take your casual sex casually, everyone. And coming out of the pandemic, it would be really nice to be serious about your casual sex.
Yeah. And I mean, I think one of the big things about this, there's a whole section on sexual health, obviously talking about STIs and contraception, but it all plays very effectively into how we understand COVID. Something I've been saying a lot, and I know you've been saying too, is that sex geeks had an interesting leg up when it came to COVID protocols is because we're already very adept at talking to one another and understanding how our health affects the people in our lives. And so those conversations are really normal for us. We talk about the choices that we make and how those choices may affect people that we're intimate with, or the people that are intimate with people that we're intimate with. And because of that, like understanding risk assessment and understanding how to advocate for yourself are really important things that Sex Geeks already have on lock. And so when we talk about, you know, your protocols around safer sex for your own emotional and physical health, that applies very strongly to COVID and what we're dealing with right now.
I'm just letting people know I've got 2 cameras. So this is the book shot for this camera, and now we're coming over here. So Getting It by Allison Moon just came out. You can order it. I put the link in the description. But...
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can order it from your favorite retailer. I obviously advocate that people should find it from a local independent. So go to your local bookstore or your sex toy store and ask them for this book, and they'll order it for you. And you can, if you want more information, if you just want to buy it from a link somewhere, girlsex101.com has a bunch of different options.
So now let's talk about the audiobook.
Oh, yes.
Because you have made audiobooks before, but this one, like, it was all fancy, and like you had a producer for the audiobook.
It was really special.
And you had guest stars.
I had a guest star.
Yes.
So one of the interesting things, so this was produced by a team at Penguin Random House that assigned it to me, which was really fun. I've only ever done audiobooks alone in my, walk-in closet. So they had asked me to narrate the audiobook, which was really great because I loved doing that. And then they hooked me up with this beautiful producer and this beautiful director. And the producer says, hey, there are some places in this book where there's dialogue, right? Because I offer kind of examples of, ways to have conversations, right? So a lot of these little speech bubbles throughout the book that you'll see. And it would be awkward if I read those alone. And so we were like, okay, how are we going to do this? It's like, I can act, but I don't want to do like accents and stuff. What's going on? And my producer's like, hey, you've got a partner who's also a sex educator. Why don't you invite him to read those dialogues with you? So Reed got to come in for a very special day in the studio and read those dialogues with me, which was really fun.
That was super fun.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I totally did.
I assigned him all of the ones that I like. There are ones where I'm like, I just want to hear.
There's some cheesiness in there that it was perfectly on brand for me to deliver.
Yeah, there was some dirty talk.
The cheese.
I talk about like how to ask and understand boundaries while engaging in dirty talk, so it kind of keeps the sex scene going even when you're kind of getting information. And so I gave some of the choice dirty talk morsels to read.
Yeah. I want to thank you for writing this book.
Thanks.
You worked very, very hard on it.
I did.
I am super excited that I'm getting messages from friends and also other fans and followers that they're buying the book.
Yay.
So the best way to support the book launching now is to go to girlsex101.com.
And yeah, just buy it any way you want to. We've got it in an ebook format. We've got it in an audiobook format. So those are both, immediate satisfaction kind of moments, which is great. And then we also have the traditional print book, which is really pretty because it's like full color. Oh, not full color. It's purple. But it's very pretty. And I just like having an artifact. That's my jam.
Yeah.
And I will be at some point getting some book plates. So obviously I'm not able to tour right now and I'm not able to do live events. But when I am, I'm going to will have book plates so that when you send me a receipt of the book, I will send you a signed book plate so you can put it in the book.
What's a book plate?
A book plate is just like a sticker in the front of the book. Usually it would be like the library.
Signed by the author.
Yeah, so it's like, so basically I signed Reed's copy of the book because, couple privilege.
She made me buy it, by the way. I had to purchase it.
I did not make you buy it. I gave it to you for Christmas. I made my family buy it, but so basically a book plate is just like so you can get this book signed even if you can't buy it from me signed.
I thought it was an actual plate with your picture on it that you could put
like a Lady Di commemorative plate.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I'd like that.
That would be nice.
Like that. So if you have questions,
Dana wants me to read a bit, but I don't know if that's weird.
Oh, do you want to?
I don't know.
You could.
Should I?
Why not?
Okay, I'll read a little bit for you.
Brody's
guys.
here too.
All right. Oh, and
Hi,
I
Brody.
guess William, I would love to do an AMA. Please invite me to do an AMA.
Yes. this is your chance, everyone, to invite Allison to come and do things for your communities and your projects, because it'll help Allison promote the book, which I'm a big fan of, Allison and the book. But I think also in the time of the pandemic, like, promoting things is weird and hard. But if you want to do this for a book club, or bring Allison in to do like a Facebook Live or a Zoom or something like that with your communities, like I know we have a lot of educators and nerds here. So like, hook her up with podcasts and whatnot. Allison gives very good podcasts.
Oh, thanks. I am also terrible at self-promoting. I mean, I need people to drag me kicking and screaming into this kind of thing. So yes, if you have a format or a
platform,
forum, if you have a platform for me to join, that works for me.
Yay. All right, so let's get to the reading.
I will
let's
read
get
very
to
quickly.
The reading.
Okay, so this is just from the introduction. What is hooking up? Okay, so what is hooking up anyway? The term has had many different meanings over the years. It's basically slang for connect, which is why we hook up to the internet, hook up our friends with concert tickets, and hook up machinery to power sources. Back in the old days, if you said you hooked up with someone, it often meant having full-on sex. In my wayward youth, it meant some sort of fooling around. Nowadays, it can mean anything, from a date to cuddling to sex. I believe the ambiguity of the term is its strength, because all we're really trying to do is connect, sexually or otherwise. In the rest of these pages, I'm not going to stress about the nuances of the term. Instead, I'll share some advice on how to hook up honestly, happily, and drama-free. Sometimes I'll use another complicated term, casual sex. What makes casual sex casual? What makes sex sex? It's a fraught subject, raising issues of morality, pleasure, risk, trauma, and choice. My job is not to convince you one way or another, but rather to give you good information to use to make up your own mind. I promise I won't shame you for your choices, and I hope you don't shame other people for theirs. For the purposes of this book, here's what I want to aim for when I say casual sex. Casual sex is, ideally, sex for sex's sake. Casual sex ain't about making babies or doing relationship maintenance. It's pleasure-focused. Casual sex centers the pleasure of everyone involved. It's collaborative. Everyone involved is bringing something to the table. No one is a passive receptacle or disengaged bystander. It's in the moment. Casual sex isn't about what comes next. It's about the present moment and what everyone decides to make of it. And it's equitable. Everyone's desires, opinions, and needs weigh equally during a casual encounter. It's community aware. Good casual sex respects the health, safety, and well-being of everyone involved, which in turn builds healthier communities. And it is exploratory. Casual sex is an improvisational kind of sex, where we get to learn about ourselves, new people, and new concepts of play and pleasure. Sound utopian? Sure, but it's an ideal worth aiming for. With these values in mind, casual sex can be an antidote to our culture's hyper-regulated ideas of sex. Casual sex is sex that takes place outside the institutions of state or church-sanctioned marriage. It's sex that seeks to undermine a transactional model of sex. It's sex that attempts to rewrite gender stereotypes. It's sex that revels equally in fancy hotels and dark back rooms, in wild orgies and hushed whispers. It's sex that declares its own intrinsic value, not as a commodity, but as an experience. When done well, casual sex stands up against hierarchies of power and their attempts to control our bodies and our access to pleasure. In short, when you do it right, there is nothing casual about casual sex.
Yay! That was fun. That was great. All right, so here's the deal. If you have, I'm just going to say this: if you have nieces, nephews, if you have kids, or you have access to kids because they're in your pods and stuff, I'm just going to say something that might be really useful and helpful is to, I think folks should get a copy of Girl Sex 101 and get a copy of Getting It and just leave it around the house for your curious kids to find when they are of the right age.
Yeah, so I've had people ask me if they should get Girl Sex 101 for their teenagers who are coming out or their preteens. And this book is it explains sexual technique. There are pictures of genitals. They're all drawings. Mm-hmm. So it's very much a book about pleasure and sexual pleasure, but I've had a lot of parents buy it for their newly out teenagers because it is very friendly. It's basically the advice that I would give to like a little sister, right? There's a lot of, it's kind of like how to explore becoming a sexual person. So it's really kind of designed for people who are either already sexual people or on the cusp of becoming them. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for little ones, but I do recommend it for teenagers and above.
Yeah, because I grew up in a household where my mom and dad had the joy of sex, and like, so me finding that and reading it was helpful, but not actually helpful with the information that this would have been really helpful for.
But I also feel like, I mean, again, I remember stumbling upon copies of that as well, and just to see pictures of bodies, and to see, like, I mean, there's a whole conversation to be had about like age-appropriate sex information.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm saying is, like, I think that there's a lot of value in just engaging with sexual material alone at your own pace, even before you're even considering becoming a sexual person yourself. That's
and learning, and I like the way that you handle pleasure and anatomy and just kind of not making sex gendered in certain ways. And I've not read Getting It yet, but I was a part of a lot of the conversations around it. And I think helping people have healthy attitudes and things to think about around sexuality and hooking up is something that I wished I had when I was younger, rather than sneaking into the library trying to find the books with anatomy drawings in them and then trying to piece it all together.
Yeah, I feel like one of the big problems that I've encountered when I talk to young people, and I'm saying like college age people around casual sex, is there's this idea that like it doesn't count as the real thing. Like the sex that you have with your partner, your monogamous spouse or whatever, that I'll care about that. I'll give that care and attention. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna get my rocks off. And I think that creates a really problematic, I mean, it creates the battle of the sexes stuff. It creates weird stereotypes, and it really just reifies some of the worst inclinations we have as sexual people. So I think what I want to do with Getting It is to encourage people to take it seriously and to consider it as a perfectly valid sexual expression. It's not something that you do on your way necessarily to a monogamous relationship, although some people will. But I like to say, like, you know, for some people your slut phase might be after a divorce or in college or your entire life. And I want people to be able to have the skills to navigate it with savvy and kindness. And even if you are not ever intending to see these people again, to still treat them with the respect and appreciation that they deserve.
What about, I'm noticing some people who are watching who happen to be in Europe. How do they order a copy of the book?
So the Book Depository sells it. Amazon all over the globe sells it as well, if that's your best choice. And then again, you can request it from any stores. I know that Gaze of the Word sells my stuff in London. Category Is in Edinburgh sells my books. So yeah, you can request it from pretty much any international bookstore and they should be able to get it without problems. So yeah, that's probably the best. And if you want to buy it online, the Book Depository or Amazon.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
No, thanks for having me, babe.
Thanks for
watching, folks.
Thanks for being had.
And I mean, for me, I also really love hearing from readers. So if you read the book and you have thoughts and questions, or if you just have anything to share, I'm always open to it. You can find me on Twitter at HeyAllieMoon. That's ALLIE Moon. And girlsex101.com is where you can also reach me.
Yay. All right. Well, spread the news. Tell your friends. Let's prepare for when the pandemic's over and we can start having sex again with people. What?
Somebody's keep comment. Yes, people in Europe can usually figure things out for themselves.
Hey, I'm trying to be nice here. Don't pick on me. Don't pick on Allison.
I mean, to be fair, I've had some Australians who have had a hard time with it, not because they're Australian, but because they don't have Amazon in the same way that we do. So Book Depository is the place that Australians can
see.
Get the book.
All right. That's it. That's all I'll put links in the comments and things like that. Please share these videos and congratulations on me.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Now we have to shut off 2 cameras at once.